kid ass out of here. When you think of My Little Pony villains, you probably think of Tier Chrysalis, but I bet you don't really consider what is, hands down, one of the best villain arcs in the entire show, that being Diamond. I said villain art, no. She isn't my favorite, nor is she the best villain in MLP, but I do think her story is worth taking a closer dive into. We all hate her in G4. Or at least we did in the beginning. That's what makes for a good villain. I mean, love to hate her, she's actually a really good character and actually goes through character arc. To me, is one of the most fascinating parts about her. Just hush up then and let me get to the video. Hello, I'm Discord Jedi Knight, and today we're talking about Diamond Tiara. I get it, he's not really evil. She doesn't try to take over the world, only to be stopped by the main six, making them legendary heroes. And that's actually the point. Despite MLP starting with a big bang, a great ancient evil and nightmare moon, the show's focus is surprisingly not on supervillains of the week. It's more on the lessons you can learn from slice of life stories. While it is one thing to see adults learn and overcome their own issues teaching kids right from wrong, it's another to see the world from a child's perspective. Kids often deal with more mundane situations, one of which is bullying. Now, bullying has been a long-debated topic forever. How do you deal with a bully? One good way is to stand up against them and not let their words get to you, ignoring their persistent taunts, or even tossing a punch to show you mean business are options. Sure, I've heard all that before, but a peaceful solution is always better than violence. However, ignoring the issue entirely, though, is only more problematic, speaking from experience there. And I like MLP's take on this subject. It teaches kids that if they're being bullied, perhaps instead of retaliating or standing up for themselves, which they should always do, they should also try to understand what's going on with the other person. And I can relate to this. I hate to admit it, but it's sadly true. I mentioned it before. Growing up, I was a complete nerd and often bullied because of it. So much so that I started bossing my friends around, and my siblings to the point where I was considered a bully by them. No wonder I lost so many friends as a child, and how rough relationship with my sister for a while there made it worse that she was a teenager. I'm glad I eventually grew out of that and made new friends, and now I have a good relationship with all my siblings. Not a close one, we are all adults, and we all have our own lives. But when we do get together around the holidays, we often laugh about the old times growing up. It's all water under the bridge, as they say. But it still bothers me, why did I ever do the first place? One situation changed me forever in what you might think was a good thing, but in many ways was actually negative. There was a kid on my school bus who was younger than me and was actually friends with my sister. I just wanted to be friends with him. After all, you want to get along with your siblings' friends. And as guys sometimes do, I'd sit next to him, tease him, and give him what I considered friendly pushes. But honestly, I was a lot bigger than him, and I never noticed how much I was pushing my weight around him. Until one day I saw in his eyes that he was afraid of me. Terrified. Something just snapped. I realized I was now his bully. Something I never wanted to be. I truly think I was unknowingly taking out my own aggression about being bullied onto him and those around me. I never wanted to be that. So when I realized that, I never went near him again and distanced myself from him and most of my friends, keeping everyone at arm's length, wanting to escape my reality. And that, of course, led me to my outlet. Stories. The way I got through about 5 years of my life was reading Naruto. Why? Because no matter how rash my day was, or how bad it got, my life was never going to be as bad as Naruto's. And yet Naruto kept smiling, even with his issues. It made me want to smile through tough times, too. It was also seriously an escape from my mundane, boring life. I could go on ninja adventures with Naruto, fighting off bigger, meaner bullies and feel a sense of accomplishment when I saw him overcome villains. That's why I love storytelling. Of course, that led me to be extremely shy, introverted, and angry for a long time. It's very similar to when Fluttershy was learning to say no, and eventually became a bully herself, being scared that she was a monster, chose to tie herself up and not go anywhere near her friends too. But I'm glad I eventually grew out of it. Actually, I'm not gonna lie, it was Flutter's journey that helped me through that. But not just hers, Diamond's too. So saying I relate to bully is without a doubt an understatement. both being bullied and being bullied myself. Diamond Tiara starts as a bully, but what people never ask is, why was she a bully? As I was watching the story and told, I'm not gonna lie, I wanted to just punch her. Wanted her to leave sweet little Apple Bloom alone. I hated Diamond. I hate bullies. It never even occurred to me once to find what her problem was until the pinnacle episode. Once the CMC found out, it was all the more reason for them to try to change that. She was being pressured by her high-class family to see her cutie mark in her position as the best. But when she saw how the CMC people who should have been below her were having a better time than she ever did, Diamond soon became jealous and began lashing out at them. She took her frustration from her mother, who was always putting pressure on her, out on Apple Bloom and her friends. And what makes it worse is that she got her mark without understanding why she got it. Despite having a cutie mark, she actually didn't know what her special talent was, and she had to hear every day how important a special talent was thanks to her teacher's lessons and her classmates striving to find their own talents. Yet she couldn't despite having a mark. And why couldn't she? Because she already had her mark, meaning she should have already known her talent. In a world where a tattoo on your ass that shows your special talent means everything, not knowing what it is that gave you the mark in the first place would be one of the most confusing things to deal with. And so, due to jealousy, she bullied others. Until her great episode, her arc, and how she begins wrestling with the meaning of her mark and how she treats others. Now, I know we have some great examples of villain reforms like Starlight or Discord, or if you want to consider it Trixie, though I'd argue she never actually changed. A video on that will be in the near future. I think what makes Diamond's character arc so impactful is because of how realistic it actually is. While many of us aren't going to try to take over the world because we don't have friends, or don't understand love, or want to make everything equal like Starlight, many of us can relate to dealing with a bully in our day-to-day lives and maybe realize their life might just be as bad, if not worse, than yours, and perhaps you can even befriend them or be nice to them, killing the bully with kindness and figure out what's bothering them in the first place. That's why I think Diamond Tiara's arc is one of the best in MLP. It's an actual arc with an important and realistic lesson. It's not because she's super evil and wants to turn the world into her image. It's simply because she's jealous.
And so are humans, or at least ponies in this case. Even so, as much as I like her story and the lesson she teaches, let's face it, I prefer the grander stories, which is why she's just B tier for me. I don't think that's a bad thing either. That's just where I place her. Yeah, you're right. If I had to say what her mark actually meant, I would say it would be something like she has the power and the privilege to use her money for good. Yeah, I think that works. That's what we're going to go with. I hate bullies too. Thank you all for watching this video. Like, share, and subscribe for more. And let me know your thoughts on Diamond down in the comments below. And if you want to know who the best My Little Pony villain is, here's my video on Chrysalis.
Don't forget to be the pony that you want to be.
Pony.